Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Estate with Ryan. Thank you for tuning in on a Saturday. We've got an amazing show for you. I hope you're having an amazing start to your week. And it is that time. Spring is here. Just saw Josh talking about the other day, talking about a little football, back to spring practice. It's hard to believe. Spring practice, April's games right around the corner. March Madness. March is always a busy month for basketball, so it's a good time. Busy time. Housing market's increasing. A lot of news to cover. And thank you for joining in. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Ryan Coleman, owner, founder of Hometown Realty, and we do this show every week. Okay, every week we do this show. Try to keep you up to date with the housing market on the East Tennessee. What's going on? Where's the interest rates? What should we do, Ryan? If I'm selling, tips, a lot of things we cover. Try to have fun with it. And been doing almost 9 years running, so appreciate you guys. You can find Real Estate with Ryan every Saturday on News Talk 98.7 at 1 o'clock. And then, of course, Talk Radio 92.3 FM at 11 a.m. And, of course, we're streaming over there live. Catch them on their social media channels. Facebook there, streaming live. Also on our Facebook and Instagram and all those different accounts, we're there is for a replay. In case you miss it, maybe you're at 2 o'clock today's game, our last home game. The men play South Carolina at home. You missed the show? No worries. Real Estate with Ryan's there for a replay. iTunes, Google, Facebook, and we're also on X streaming. So all those platforms you can catch our show. And appreciate you guys listening. Let's talk about some housing news in the real estate market. What's going on in East Tennessee, and how will that affect you guys? Thinking about buying, selling. Usually March is where things start picking up. And what does that mean with the housing market as far as concern? Well, the weekly news, let's pull this out here, talking about a little weekly news. Weekly mortgage demand surges 20% higher after interest rates drop to the lowest since last year. So a lot of you are watching. Feds are meeting again this month. But we've watched some interest rates go down, decline. Actually, the average 30-year fixed rate conforming loan with balances of $806,000 or less decreased from 6.73 from a previous 6.88. So it's always a good sign. We've seen increase in applications in our office, contracts, pendings. So those are some good signs. Total mortgage applications jumped 20.4% last week compared to the previous week. This is not the first increase in 3 weeks, but it's outsized by the weekly move. Sharp drop in mortgage interest rate finally helping both homeowners and potential home buyers jump back into the housing market showing this year. Mortgage applications volume jumped 20.4% last week compared to the previous week. Obviously the rates are the culprit with that. With interest rates, affordability, inflation is real. We're talking about some items today on our show that will relate to that. We're talking about applications on the refinance was big. So applications on the refinance loans, weekly moves, and they were up 37% for the week and 83% higher than the same week ago. So as a whole, applications for mortgage purchase homes rose 9% for the week, but we're just 2% higher than the same week ago. A year ago. Sorry. Too many notes, a lot of data here. But we're seeing that the interest rates obviously correlate with the housing market. We know that. We know affordability is a real issue. Home prices have not changed dramatically, especially in the East Tennessee market and across the U.S., and inflation is big. And what also is affecting that is obviously we're talking about, in today's show, we're going to talk about, will President Trump's tariffs harm the housing affordability? We're going to talk about that a little bit. And then as we go into our second part of the show, if we're purchasing, if we're thinking about spring, we know it's that market. We know it's time to get your forever home, where some people are relocating across the country. And do we buy new construction or resale? We'll cover the pros and cons of buying new construction or resale in today's market and so much more. So before we get going, let's start with a new congrats. New listings, new closings. As always, like to take care of our great people. We've got a new listing out there on 2971 Drew Fox Way in Sevierville. Great property, investment property that just hit the market. New listing coming on 2725 River Island Boulevard. Beautiful lake views, beautiful custom-built home. Make sure you check that property out. Let's see, we got 809 Old Lee Highway in Philadelphia coming on the market. Of course, we got 320 White Plains Road in Von Orr. And congrats on some pending, 629 Cummings Chapel Road in Sevierville. And then 809 Hinchy Hollow Road in New Market. And then, of course, congrats to our great sellers over on Sierra Lane in Sevierville. And then, of course, 238 that just closed Hollyfield Lane in Jacksboro. All right, so we got some activity going on. So as in the news, stock market's been challenging on the tariffs and what's going on in the market. And if you're in the stock market or have any money in the market, you can see that. And, of course, we've got some money in the market as well. And so we saw it and we're like, ouch. But what is that going to do to the housing market? What is the current administration going to do, and how is that going to affect us moving forward? Is prices going to go up, down? And so I pulled this from an article away from the news media. Obviously, right, left, middle. Everybody's got an opinion on it. But CoreLogic is a great source in the real estate industry, and we've used it for a while. And we watched a little bit of their analysis, and then we'll put our own spin on it and kind of go into kind of what our suggestions and what we'll see here in the housing market here in East Tennessee. So let's start. Navigating construction material prices amid the new administration's recent tariffs. CoreLogic suggests that tariffs could push home construction cost up 4 to 6% over the next 12 months. Material costs adjust the new landscape. Some cases, tariffs could push prices up to double-digit percentages. Let's see. Obviously, some of those challenges with what's going on. We got Canadian lumber has climbed 14.5%. Concrete prices are jumped 8%. Household appliances are expected to rise as much as 20%. So that's all at a time where affordability is a big factor. Interest rates are still relatively high, and the home prices have not dramatically changed, and they're not in the forecast for the upcoming 2025 housing market. So where is that going to lead us? Obviously, there's some challenges. It's a fragile balance between construction cost and affordability. Big concerns are Canada and Mexico and China with some of those battle trade restrictions. So 4 to 6% in the housing market today, that's a big jump. The rise in construction material prices over the next 12 months are considered to be somewhere around 10%. This increase will be on top of the annual increase of building materials, which is typically tracked in the inflation cost. In the short term, builders could face that 10% cost on uptick materials increase, such as household fixtures, appliances, lighting, cabinetry. That price could be between 10 and 20% if these new potential tariffs affect. Chinese steel could also alter the budget as well. So already an average cost of new construction in the U.S. housing market is about $422,000. Adding a potential material building cost, tariffs would increase from $17,000 to $22,000 to add to that price tag. So, they're estimating new construction costs could increase between $17,000 to $22,000 with the tariffs. So I know that's a lot to go over, but we wanted to cover it. Framing affordability. The U.S. rose $19,500 in October from a median home price that was already $385,000. Obviously, that's a lot higher on a new build, but either option is increasingly out of reach for many of Americans as tariffs appear unlikely to help the flight. So that is the challenging. So the median worker in the U.S. and the average annual salary was about $48,600. The economics are on this upside down. And when they start going on, some of the builders like D.R. Horton, we've got tract builders that are in our area, is one of the country's largest home builders. And the volume's actively trying to introduce affordability by shrinking the square footage. So if you're looking for new construction, maybe you're seeing the housing market, what's going on, and some of the tract builders like D.R. Horton are now actively decreasing their footprint, square footage. So the homes they build as well, offering incentives with mortgage rate buy-downs to catalyze on the demand. And obviously, so mortgage rate buy-downs, as we talked on previous shows, is where new construction and resale, if you're in the housing market, it's one of our biggest competitors. So we got builders that have the ability to have mortgage rate buy downs, and then now they're shrinking floor plans on the already existing resales. Let's see, what else are they talking about? So homes increased about 1% last year, and home builders' revenues were down about 2%. So surprisingly, that's going to cut into the builders' profit margin, and we're seeing them restricting and maybe even stopping some of the building where we move forward. Got a few minutes for the second half. We've got this and so much more coming in the second half of Real Estate with Ryan. Make sure you stay with us and stay tuned.
Knoxville and East Tennessee. The region is known for its rolling hills, rivers, and lakes. There's no better place to work, live, or raise a family. Home is where your story begins. Buying or selling your home is a big decision, and you need a real estate team you can trust.
I'm Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty, your hometown experts. Whether you're buying or selling a home, let us develop a winning game plan for you.
Hometown Realty is East Tennessee's #1 real estate group and a proud sponsor of the Vols.
I'm Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty. The real estate market's changing every day. You need to know your home's value in today's market. Text your home address to 290-2290 for an instant, no obligation home evaluation. That's 865-290-2290. And remember, when you're ready to sell, we have a guaranteed sale program to get you in your next home stress-free. Trust your hometown experts. We've helped thousands of people just like you. All right, we're back at it, Real Estate with Ryan, second half, talking about a little real estate, talking about tariffs. My team was like, well, are you comfortable with the topic? I said, no, not really. I don't think anybody's really comfortable with the topics. It hits home, the housing market, the real estate community. We're just processing this. We're all watching the news. We're trying to go over it. There's a lot of data in here, and I'm not going to spend so much time going over it. But we're going to kind of go into some of the costs that we could see new construction that we may intake, and it may affect us in the short term. I think, obviously the administration there's some thoughts that some things need to be done and some things need to be done to correct in the long term, but there may be some pain in between. And that's challenging us on the housing market. We're seeing that in the auto industry as well. We're seeing that the auto industry could be facing some of the same things that we're facing in the housing market. So keep in mind that when you're looking for purchasing, buying, selling, some of these costs may be in there. And understand that in the new construction market, there's some challenges, as with the resale market. But we'll talk about it in a few minutes. But before we get going, and I get going in our topic, we got our 60-second Vol update. Hometown Realty, proud sponsor of the Vols. All right, let's get at it. Drum roll, please. All right, what we got going on? It's March Madness. Lady Vols are in action. A chance to watch them the other day. Had a great win, and then just a disappointing game versus Vanderbilt. Real strong team, Vanderbilt. They lost 84-76, made a strong pushback in the second half, but just came a little bit short, ran out of time. Our men, Ole Miss, fell 78-76. And again, of course, big game today, 2 p.m., South Carolina. Last home game in Food City Center. Make sure you check us out. You're probably already there. And I want a special thanks to everybody that's followed us the whole year, watched our pages, and all Vol Nation that's allowed us to send them to the games. We've got your beautiful pictures. Y'all have taken your kids, family members, and we're just glad to do it. So thanks to following our pages and allowing Hometown Realty to send you to the game. We just love seeing your photos and all your posts, and just thanks for all the love there, and we're glad to do it. So make sure you follow us. As I said, football is right around the corner. Men's baseball team is #1 in the country, by the way, so keep an eye on them. They're doing great things. And that is our 60-second Vol update. Hometown Realty, proud sponsor of the Vols. Go Big Orange. So much going on. So limited time. But talking about this housing market and what's going on, and I want to get to our main part of the show. We're talking about new construction. Do we buy new? Resale? What's the pros and cons on those? So shortly with this, on these tariffs and what's going on in the housing market, obviously each news media has its own spin. What do we do with it? How is it going to affect goods? Is it going to affect prices? U.S. construction material, on average, asphalt shingles was up 0.4% per quarter. We talked about plywood was down 2.3%. If you remember back in the day, plywood was outrageous. Rebar steel is up 0.5%. And let's see here, lumber is down 1.3%. We know a lot of those fires in California are going to affect, a lot of those people are going to rebuild. That will affect the supply market as well. So we'll just have to keep a close eye on that across the country, and we're always going to keep you up to date with what's going on in the housing market. So let's talk about tariffs and what does that mean. But I think ultimately there may be some increased cost, things that you're going to know as a consumer, what you need to shop for, and understand that. As always, with so much going on in the housing market, it is so important to have a great team on your side, knowing that in this market, your real estate agent is your best teammate. And I mean that because it's teamwork to make it work. The market is changing like none to another. You know, with the housing affordability, got a lot of sellers, got a lot of buyers, a lot of nervousness in the market. I got a call the other day, and this tariff thing really sparked some concern. And as it should. You know, we should stay on top of this and what's going on. But the housing market is always going to flow. We're going to have several million homes sold this year. And as we're seeing the downward spiral of the interest rates a little bit, as we see the lower of interest rates, I expect that in this March, April, we're going to see home sales pick up. Okay, that has to happen. Certain people have to buy and sell every year, and so keep that in cost. But you know, we're going to decide whether we're going to buy new construction resale or what makes sense, especially if you're a first-time buyer. Is a new home for you or is a resale? We'll talk about that in a few minutes. I wanted to talk about this, and I thought this was important. We talked about, this came out. We'll add this to it. It's not all doom and gloom today, but FHA delinquencies were up 11.3%. A lot of that had to do with the overall mortgage landscape, a lot with the housing market and affordability. High prices really kind of linger into that, and so have a lot of effect of what's going on. Not a good sign, but sometimes that happens, and those are corrections. Overall, the positive news is that the housing market is in a good sector as far as the mortgage landscape. You know, several years ago, 2008, 2013, we were not in the same structure. And so right now we're in a lot better position with the liquidity of the banks, and what they did changes and made those changes in that market to make sure that we don't have that kind of recession happen again. So right now, delinquencies are up. Credit cards are up a little bit. It's a little tight in the market. That's okay. A little softening of the market, hopefully for a good rebound here. But let's talk about on new construction. This is the main topic of our show. Is it cheaper to buy or build a home? The average cost to build a home in 2024 was $665,000, $298. Woo! So almost $700,000. And this survey was done by the National Association of Home Builders. Meanwhile, the average cost to buy an existing home in 2024 was $510,000. You do the math, that's about $150,000 savings for a resale. It makes sense, though, buying something new, obviously. You would think it'd be less maintenance down the road. You have to factor those repairs and all that to come into play. But let's talk about it. Obviously, with inflation, that's like the favorite word out there, inflation, builders are also paying more for building materials, as we talked about. And those resources and those costs are being passed on to you, the consumer. So these are things, especially moving forward, that you need to think about moving forward. The pros and cons of building a new home. Customization is key on one of the positives. So if I'm going to build my home, I'll build my forever home. I can design the floor plan. If I want a 2-car, I want a 3-car. Maybe I want a master on the main. I want certain features. Customizations on our new construction, you have that option. On a resale, you don't. All right? Low competition on new construction. There's not very many people going to build their own home, hiring the builder. There's less competition. You can kind of dictate what you need to go or what plan you want to go with. There is a little availability with the builder that you choose, depending on the amount of jobs that they have in front of you, but there's no competing. Now, if you buy one of our existing homes that are out there, new construction, there's plenty of them, and there's great ones. Customizations, depending on when you catch the builder at the process, may have some options to customize as well. Low energy cost, newness, it's nothing like a new home. Nothing like a new home. Those are the opportunities. What are the cons? We know pricing is key. So some of the pricing is expensive. We talked about $150,000 on average across the U.S. to buy a new home. The wait, it can take closer to a year to build a new home with plannings, approvals, actual construction process. And and then may take 30, 60 days to get it closed. You know, with new construction, we always like a deal. We like to wheel and deal and negotiate. I'm sure as everybody does, right? But a new construction, you're very limited on the things you can wheel and deal on, especially with the costs, as we were talking about in the first segment about tariffs and different things that's going on and the cost of materials. There is no more room. There is no more margin. The cost is what it is. And there is some options, you know, if you have a great agent working with closing costs, incentives, different things like that. But there's very limited room to negotiate there. You know, you got noise, you got mess, you got all those different things that were coming into dealing with the new construction. But that opportunity, it's a great thing. It's something we built one of our first properties. It was an investment property. And it's something about that if you go out to your land, and we did this, and then you guys may do this as well, if you go out to your land and there's nothing there, nothing on the structure, or maybe you build the foundation and you're there and you're out there and you kind of just look up. And I remember a time that we were looking at it, and then you just start looking up and you go, wow, this is amazing. You know, it's really amazing. Then you come back and you can see what you started to what you finished. And then you're kind of there throughout the whole process. It's strong. It's motivating. It's motivating. And so there's a power there of building your own home and building a new home. Existing costs will always be price. Quick close, you know, you got an opportunity on a resale to close 30, 60 days. As the housing market is now, we got negotiation rooms. Sellers are looking at offers that they haven't in a while. Real estate will always control the location. You know, these are things to think about. Moving forward, as we kind of wind the show down, buying a new home is not easy. Get with a great agent that can walk you through the steps. Resale is a great option. Ultimately, if you're thinking about buying, we encourage you to purchase your new home. It'll be a great investment for the years to come forward. Hope you've enjoyed the show today, Real Estate with Ryan. Look forward to seeing you back next week. Have an amazing weekend.